The NWF World Heavyweight Championship has seen plenty of ups and plenty of downs. I've been meaning to make this video for a while, but now is probably as good a time as any to do it. Every World Heavyweight Champion ranked from worst to best. Now, a few things before we start. The current World Heavyweight Champion at the time of this video being made is Nigel. Because he's the current World Heavyweight Champion and his reign really has only just started, we cannot judge his reign, because obviously it's still ongoing. So he'll be absent from this list. He'll be like an honorable mention of sorts. Another thing I want to mention is that your opinions to this list could be very different, as would mine, because I have a bias. Some people would be ranked higher or lower. However, I did my best to look at everything objectively. And this includes the length of the reign, how many and how good the feuds for the title were, and overall how memorable the reign itself was. So yeah, let's get started. Every World Heavyweight Champion ranked from worst to best. There are 13 different World Heavyweight Champions in NWF, and starting at the bottom, number 13 is Mythical. Mythical won the World Heavyweight Championship by starting off and surviving a gauntlet match for the vacant title, so the match itself, the beginning of the reign was great. However, he was fired a few days later for behavioral reasons. And really, his reign is, so easily forgettable. Even I've forgotten he was World Heavyweight Champion, and I have the frickin' list of all world title reigns. So, pretty much that's why he's at the bottom. His reign lasted like nothing, and it's an easily forgettable reign. Sorry, Mythical, if you're somehow watching this, but you're the bottom of the barrel. Number 12 is Chloe, who was our second ever World Heavyweight Champion. And she shouldn't have been World Heavyweight Champion to begin with, because she won the title off of a split match. I don't know why I let that go, but it's in the history books now. She was World Heavyweight Champion for a couple weeks. She lost it in her next defense. No feuds. So, yeah. However, the fact that the reign shouldn't have happened means that she should have been at the bottom of the list, right? Well, no, and there are two reasons as to why. First, and this is a little bit of history, Chloe is the only female person to win the World Heavyweight Championship in NWF, so there's that. And number two, the fact that the reign itself is such a weird, thing to happen means that it's, a lot more memorable than the Mythical's reign, which is last place. So, yeah, that's why Chloe managed to just squeak by to number 12. Number 11 is Zesty. Zesty won the the vacant World Heavyweight Championship, I might add, by winning the King of the Ring tournament. I decided to put the title as a prize at the end by winning the tournament, and Zesty went the distance. He survived. And then he lost it a few days later. He didn't even make it past the pay-per-view card in which he won it. It was Hell in a Cell. He won it in King of the Ring, and literally, blink and you miss it, he was cashed in on and lost it. So, he gets points for the journey, but the reign itself... Alright, now we're heading into the top 10, and number 10 is Hevnerak. Hevnerak is a two-time World Heavyweight Champion, so you gotta say, why is he ranked so low if he's a two-time World Champion? That's only happened 3 times in NWF history. And the reason is because he was fired both times after he won it, so yeah, unfortunate. both his reigns were pretty short and inconsequential. He didn't really have any major feuds or any really notable moments. So yeah, that's why Hebnerak, the two-time world champion, is at number 10. Number 9 is Toss. Toss finally won the World Heavyweight Championship in August from Jay, which we'll get to later. And then his very next defense, he lost it. So the reign itself was short. The reign was unmemorable. There were no feuds, although I will probably take some blame for that one because he was World Heavyweight Champion during the time when I decided to do 50 things at once for cards. So no really room for him, but I mean, it is what it is. The reign itself, though, not very good. Toss, sorry, recently retired, but is number 9 on the list. Number 8 is Cavill. Now, Cavill did not hold the title for very long. He held it for like a week. He won it when it was vacant by Mythical being fired in a ladder match, and he took it to the main event of WrestleMania. So that's pretty much why Cavill is ranked number 8. It was very short, but he did have a memorable moment to go with it, so number 8 is a solid spot for Cavill. You would think that someone regarded as by many as the face of NWF would have had a better world title reign, but I guess not. Maybe in the future he'll be back, who knows? Number 7 is Gotham, and this is where, if this list is not biased, because personally I would rank Gotham higher. I know some would probably rank Gotham lower, but objectively this is about where Gotham is, number 7. And his world title reign lasted for 24 hours. Not even cashed in on. It just won it, and then the next day he lost it. So why is he so high, you may ask? Because the way he won it stands as one of the best NWF moments of 2020, and one of the best moments during NWF Season 2. During a live show at night, Tyler was, coaxed into putting his World Heavyweight title on the line in a live show match against Gotham, and nobody was expecting Tyler to lose. I mean, I don't think Tyler was expecting Tyler to lose. I mean, he had beaten Gotham in their last encounter fairly easily, but then, out of nowhere, in an impromptu World Heavyweight Championship match on a live show at night, Gotham somehow defeated Tyler to win the World Heavyweight Championship, and the entire chat went into meltdown mode because nobody expected it. I didn't expect it. I mean, my God. Just completely unexpected. The way he won it was incredible. The reign itself was, shit. But the moment of actually winning it will live forever. So that's pretty much what boosted Gotham from potentially being at the bottom to all the way up at number 7. Number 6 is Max Cat, who was the one who defeated Gotham to win the world title. The journey of Max Cat was an interesting one, as he went from someone was trying to get fired because of an altered moveset, which I gave him the benefit of the doubt, and I'm glad I did. He then went from the bottom of the card to the top by winning the World Heavyweight Championship Contendership Tournament. From the anniversary show, he lost the world title match, but then he rebounded by winning the King of the Ring tournament, and by defeating Gotham to win the world title, which was his prize. So, overall, great journey by Max Cat. The reign itself was pretty average, though. He held it for like about a month and a half, maybe. He had a decent feud with Jay for it. So, yeah. Solid little spot for Max Cat. He ranks number 6. We're entering the top 5 now for World Heavyweight title reigns, and believe it or not, we're only just starting to get to the good reigns. It says a lot. But number 5 is Tyler. Tyler would win the World Heavyweight Championship at the 1-year anniversary show, and he would end up retaining it in 2 decent enough feuds with Gotham and Colby before getting put down in shocking fashion by Gotham at the live show. He was champion for a little under 2 months, and overall, he was a pretty good world champion. the World Heavyweight title was still in desperate need of image repairment, which we'll get to later. But yeah, Tyler was a good champion. Some behind the scenes drama brings down his reign a bit, but overall, good stuff. Number 4 is Salander. And this may be a surprise to some. Salander was the first ever 2-time World Heavyweight Champion. His first title reign was about a month, and it was ended by Chloe in the split match. I know. But his second reign was, at the time, the longest ever world title reign in NWF, clocking in at 2.5 months. Pretty sad if you think about it, but, 2.5 months, pretty good. He did not really have any big feuds for his title, except a small one with Cavill. So his history, the history that he made, is what carries him to the number 4 spot, as he is the first ever 2-time World Heavyweight Champion, and at the time, the longest world title reign in NWF was held by him. So, good job, Sal. Number 4. Now this is probably going to be an interesting one. Number 3 is Zach. And, this is why, for starters. The length of his reign was, it was decent enough. It was a little under 2 months. He didn't really have many opportunities to start feuds for the world title, but he had one brewing in the background with Temp before Temp had to go back down to NXT. And then in the pay-per-view in which he lost it, he had a really good, pretty much 1-week feud with myself and Nigel. So there was that. He was part of Team Velocity during NWF The Survivor Series event, and at War Games, he scored the final submission victory, clinching the dub for Team Velocity. And despite losing the World Heavyweight Championship, he has continued it in a unique fashion with his fake World Heavyweight Championship, which is a nice story. So, yeah, Zach is number 3. It was a pretty good reign, but a lot of unique things happened, so pretty good. Number 2 for World Heavyweight Championship reigns is Jay. Similar to Zach, Jay was the world champion where the length wasn't that great, but it's what you do during the reign that's also important, which is why Jay made it to number 2. Jay had a pretty good reign, about 2 months. So, a good chunk of the summer, he was World Heavyweight Champion. The journey of Jay to the world title was also very interesting, as this is someone who was originally, to put it lightly, a jobber in NWF until he started racking up some wins, stringing them together, winning some titles, and next thing you know, he finally wins the big one, World Heavyweight Champion. So, the journey was great. He was by far, and I mean by far, the most popular World Heavyweight Champion, which it's almost like, alright, we get it. Like, don't overhype him either, but very popular world champion. And his feuds, although the one in which he lost it with Toss was fairly unmemorable, and the match itself wasn't that great either, so much so that Jay didn't want to fight Toss again for a while. So, yeah, although they did end up fighting again at Grand Slam, which is apparently way better. You'll see it on the NWF network soon. However, it was his feud with the Royal Rumble winner, Bayley, and the GM, King Cody, myself, and the acquiring of a tag partner in Hornet as Brock Lesnar. The feud between us four was without a doubt one of the best of the summer, and I would say probably the best world title feud, specifically between Jay and Bayley. So yeah, Jay did a lot during a short time. That's why he was number 2 on our list. And number 1, the best World Heavyweight Championship reign of all time objectively goes to myself. Now, please put down the pitchforks. I know, I'm not sure about nowadays, but for a time, I can't even praise myself at all. But I'm not. Looking at things objectively, this is why the reign of The Fiend Bray Wyatt was the best World Championship reign of all time. For now, anyways. So first off, I'm a 2-time World Heavyweight Champion, similar to Salander and Hebnerak, but the first reign, it was shit. I mean, it was like 2 weeks before losing it back to Hebnerak, so I mean, that's not what makes it number one. What makes it number one is the second reign. The second reign started off interesting enough, cashing in Money in the Bank on Zesty to win it. Held it from October all the way to March, which was, and still is, by far, the longest world title reign ever, and honestly, it might just be the longest NWF title reign, period, ever. The world title feud with Sammy for WonderSlam wasn't very good, but I can't really be blamed for that. I did the best I could. However, the feuds with Beast, Kivil, and Tyler were all pretty good, while the feud with Colby for Super Showdown in February, I think, is highly underrated, as it was, looking at it, a very good feud between me and Colby. Plus, it was a very good match to boot, so there's that. I also survived a Money in the Bank cash-in from Jay, which is noteworthy because, so far, no other World Heavyweight Champion has survived a cash-in. And finally, and probably, if you think about it, the most important reason as to why it's the best world title reign of all time is because it was not a popular reign at all, but it was a necessary one. All the world champions that came after, Tyler, Gotham, MaxCat, Jay, Toss, Zach, and now Nigel, all doing really good. But people forget that before I cashed in on Zesty, before all those, good to great world champions, the world title was spotty, to say the least. Salander, Chloe, Salander again, Hebnerak, Mythical, Kivil, myself, Hebnerak, and Zesty. The only title reign that could be classified as good was Salander's second reign. Every other reign was either short or the person was immediately fired for usually behavioral reasons. So yeah, it was dire. And then here I come with a freaking 5 to 6 month world title reign. So the world title at least finally got a reign that was worth talking about, and thankfully, it's never looked back. All the title reigns since then have been good to great. So yeah, not a popular reign, but a necessary reign. And that's pretty much the main reason as to why it is the number one on our list as the best world title reign of all time. So there you have it. All 13 World Heavyweight Champions as of now, ranked from worst to best.